There's a trade dispute blowing up between the US and India, and it feels like it came out of absolutely nowhere. But is that really the case? The story here goes way deeper than what you're seeing on the surface. So let's start with those headlines. And yeah, the headlines have been pretty wild. First, the US hits India with a 25% tariff on a whole range of goods, and then, just a few days later, they double down. Bam! Another 25% penalty. We're talking a 50% tariff on a lot of products. That is a huge deal, and it's got everyone's attention. Okay, so the popular narrative, the one you're probably hearing everywhere, is that this is all about punishing India for buying Russian oil. And, the analysis we're digging into today says, yeah, that's definitely part of it. But, and this is a big but, it is not the whole story. Not even close. To get what's actually going on, we have to look beyond the headlines, beyond the oil. We need to get into the strategic thinking behind all this. What if this isn't really about trade at all? What if it's about two massive countries with two completely different ways of seeing the world? This is where we get to a really interesting idea for understanding this whole conflict. Think about it like this. What if countries, just like big companies, had mission statements? A core goal that drives everything they do. Every big decision, every policy, it's all about fulfilling that one mission. So what are we talking about here? For the USA, the mission is pretty clear. Stay on top. Maintain global primacy. Be the leader. Set the rules. But for India, it's about securing its own future while holding on to something called strategic autonomy. And that phrase is everything. Right away, you can see the problem, can't you? One country wants to lead, the other wants to be its own boss. That's a recipe for conflict. Okay, let's talk about that key phrase, strategic autonomy. This one concept is the key that unlocks this whole thing. Seriously, once you get this, everything else makes sense. So what does it even mean? Strategic autonomy is basically a policy of not picking a team. It's about flexibility. India wants to be a major player on the world stage, but without being locked into an alliance or becoming, a junior partner to the US or China or anyone else. It's about having the freedom to cut a deal with whomever they want, whenever they want, based purely on what's best for India at that moment. And according to the analysis we're looking at, this is what the trade dispute is really about. It's not just some squabble over money or goods. It's a test, a direct challenge to India's entire mission of strategic autonomy. Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this abstract idea of a mission statement actually cause a trade war? Well, let's look at what happened when the talking stopped. This is the deal breaker. Right where the negotiations fell apart. You can see right here just how far apart they were. India came to the table with some pretty big offers, right? Getting rid of tariffs on almost half of US exports, buying more American energy. That's not nothing. But the US wanted the whole shebang, a complete agreement, unfettered access, no exceptions, especially in sensitive areas like agriculture and dairy, which India absolutely wanted to protect for its own farmers. The US was playing an all-or-nothing game, and India wanted to make a specific targeted deal. And to see just how big a deal this is, let's compare India's move to South Korea's. When South Korea was in a similar spot, they caved. They made concessions on rice, their most important crop, just to get a better deal from the US. But India, they said no. They refused to sacrifice their farmers, even if it meant a better trade deal. That is what strategic autonomy looks like in the real world. It's about protecting what you see as your core interests, no matter the pressure. So you have to see this from the US point of view. Remember their mission, maintain primacy. From that angle, India saying no isn't just a negotiation tactic. It's a challenge. It's India questioning American leadership on the world stage. And if the US lets one country get away with that, what's to stop others from trying? From that perspective, they feel they have to respond forcefully. Hence the massive tariffs. Which brings us to right now. This is a high-stakes moment, and a huge decision is coming. So what happens next? And man, things have moved fast. Look at this timeline. 5 rounds of talks go nowhere, then, boom, a 25% tariff on August 1st. Just a few days later, they double it. Now everyone is holding their breath for this 6th round of talks at the end of the month. The pressure couldn't be higher. So what are the options on the table? The analysis boils it down to 3 possible outcomes. First, India could just give in. But if they do that, their whole mission of strategic autonomy takes a massive hit. Second, the US could back down and accept India's offer, but that could really hurt its image as the undisputed global leader. Or, third, they somehow find a compromise, a new deal where both sides can walk away feeling like they didn't completely lose. And you can see how each of those outcomes directly impacts those national missions we've been talking about.
And that's really what this all comes down to. It leaves us with the one big question that defines this whole thing. This isn't just a trade war over goods and tariffs. It's a clash of missions, primacy versus autonomy. So as these next talks get closer, you have to ask yourself, which one is going to bend?